Would you like to see the alignments and the aspects we're talking about this week? Well, check out the weekly overview on the funastrology.com YouTube channel. A picture really is worth 1,000 words. Welcome to a new week. What do you say we get one started together? Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology Podcast. So glad you're here on the last week of August, Monday the 26th. We are going to wrap it up and move into September. If you're in the Lucky Stars Club, you should have gotten your video yesterday, the release of that. If you'd like to join the Lucky Stars Club and find out what September has in store, it's really easy. You can go to the top of the funastrology.com website or buymeacoffee.com/funastrology. Either will get you there, and we'd love to have you. Now, this week is going to be a whole different animal than last week. First of all, we have a Gemini moon today and tomorrow. That's a get-it-done, multiple projects kind of moon. It's working on several fronts. Now, I will say this. The last aspect before the moon goes void, of course, early Wednesday morning, is a square. So there's that to be aware of. And we have Jupiter in Gemini as the moon is transiting over. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the opposite sign of Gemini. So Jupiter's not as happy as it could be sitting in Gemini, but it's there until about summer next year, so we have to work together. Mars is also in Gemini, and as you remember, back on August 14th exactly, Jupiter and Mars kissed right on the lips at 16 degrees Gemini. If you're new to the podcast, that's what we call a conjunction. It's like, we don't use all that, well, sometimes we do, but try not to, that formal language. You know, it's like, we got to make this adaptable to the masses. So, mwah is a lot better than conjunction. But it was a conjunction, or a mwah, right on the lips. Back on the August 14th, I know some people say heresy. That's okay. You ain't seen nothing yet. Astrology itself is going to be changing as the masses adapt to it. But Jupiter feeling a little grumpy, and Mars, always good for a conflict or two. They've been separating for the last week and a half, but they still are within range of each other. Right now they're 6 degrees apart, but I would expect this energy to stay in place as Mars completes its transit through Gemini and moves on out. Then it hits Cancer, where it really doesn't like the feelings and emotions and sensitivity of Cancer. So it will have to work through that over the next 2 months once it gets there next week. So that's kind of the moon and Gemini, taking a look at that because that is the spotlight for those three bodies up above our heads, the moon, Jupiter, and Mars. We've been feeling it. It's not going to be as strong as it has been. That's the good news. So just let the work continue around that. If you'd like to know what area of your life this is affecting most, you can find Gemini in your chart and the house where that is, and the aspects that are made to Gemini are the picture of what that looks like for you in your own chart. Now, we have, point this out, we haven't talked about it for a while, the oracle planet. So in other words, the planet that is in the sky right before sunrise is Mercury right now in retrograde. And that's going to be there all week and for a while because until at least Wednesday, they are moving in opposite directions, the Sun and Mercury. So, how has this Mercury retrograde been for you? Mercury is getting stronger because one of the big things this week is it turns direct on Wednesday. I've got the YouTube video out. If you'd like to come over to the YouTube channel, Fun Astrology Podcast, and see all of this, we're going to point it out. That video was released yesterday afternoon. So the reason I say that the energy is lighter is we have mostly trine aspects this week. We have one tomorrow that we'll talk about here in a minute. Then we have on Wednesday, the moon goes home to Cancer. That's a good thing. Mercury turns direct. That's a good thing. Then on Thursday, Venus moves into its own sign of Libra. Then we have another trine as Venus moves into Libra. It trines Pluto on Thursday. And then we hop over to Sunday where we have Uranus turning retrograde and retrograde Pluto moves back into Capricorn Sunday night. With Uranus turning retrograde on Sunday, that is a strong Uranus all week. So just be careful of that. Watch for surprises. But that's the layout for this week. So a couple of themes or keywords we could attach to this. You have to say home, or at least security or comfort or home base or just comfort, because within just over 24 hours apart, the moon and Venus both move into their home signs, and that's just a lot of good energy at home. So if last week was a little disturbing for you, like it was for me, we can take comfort. We can snuggle up under the blanket. By Thursday, let's say noon for everybody, that is going to be solid energy, and we will be feeling into it all week. One of the other keyword themes, I don't know that I have a keyword for this, but at least a theme. I spent about over 2 hours with my own chart yesterday, just looking at it as though I was trying as objectively as I could to separate me from the chart and read it as though I were reading it for somebody else. What I saw were key themes of transformation all through. Now, mine are amplified because the focus in my chart is on the 8th and the 12th house, with a mixture of the 7th thrown in as well. But with Jupiter now in Gemini, Pluto, even though, yes, this week it dips back into Capricorn for just a little while before it turns back around, that will be in early October, then we really begin the Pluto in Aquarius transformation theme. At the same time, I've got Uranus in a very interesting position. It's just about ready to hit the 12th house in solar arcs. And coming up on Sunday, it turns retrograde. So Uranus is going to be a theme for us with the sudden surprises. Also, astrology, right? So Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus being retrograde here, that is a focus on astrology. How will it affect the masses, but also how do we continue to learn it and build it into our own life? And if you're not fluent in it and you'd like to be, let me just remind you, we have the Fun Astrology 101 course, and it will at least get you conversational in it. That's at the funastrology.com website. But what I took away from my own self-examination was that there are going to be perhaps some of these shocks like I experienced earlier this year, but they are going to be to help us grow. So the theme is this radical growth. And radical growth, Aquarius, Uranus, does tend to shake us out of our comfort zones. But if we remember even the symbolism of Pluto moving into Capricorn this week, it is to go in there and clean out what doesn't serve anymore. And so often we are either blind to that or we resist that process. We put it away, put it aside, don't have to look at it, therefore we don't have to deal with it. It's that kind of thing, and that's not going to escape where these planets are today. We've said it before, and I will say it again. The timelines, I think, truly are separating. And if they're not, if that's all just a bunch of hocus pocus, you can choose to separate your own timeline to higher ground. And wouldn't that be worthwhile? Sure, come join the rest of us that are on that path as well. All right, well, that sets the week up, and I'll see you over on the YouTube video if you'd like to see the full video explanation, the graphic explanation. Back again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.